Good morning and welcome to the Morning Connection. This is your host, Minette Lawrence, and with me, of course, Pastor Percival Palmer. Good morning to those who have joined us. As always, we are so happy that you make the time at this early hour of the day to start your day with us and to follow us throughout the 4 hours that we spend with you. You know that from the inception, we make the commitment to give you the very best of our ideas or reasoning and to share with you the principles which we believe are at the foundation of righteous living. A platform for prosperity is what we try to build here. So, thank you very much for participating in this. We know that it is a larger than life venture, and we have every expectation that through your participation, it will be fruitful. So, good morning, Pastor Percival.
Good morning. You were
All right,
waxing lyrical a while
yeah,
ago.
you go and prepare your lyrics. Let me greet the crew. Yeah, morning, Andre, and to the producer man. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you for the commitment that you make to this little. Well, it's not a little.
It's
What
no
is it?
longer a little thing.
Big project. The big project,
The big
Jamaica.
project,
What you
yes.
used to call it again? Project Jamaica.
Project Jamaica.
Project Jamaica.
Project Jamaica.
All right,
And it still remains a project.
You're ready with your lyrics?
Well, no, I am continuing where we left off yesterday out of Isaiah. The need to wait and to continue to trust and not to become weary in well doing. So even as we continue to speak about the 1660, one of the things that really has captured my attention is the fact that persons around the world in different situations, they have a vision in mind, they continue to work at it, even though they're not seeing visible results at that point in time. But then it struck me as we think about what is happening in in our nation, what is happening with the things that don't seem to be breaking, we have to continue to chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away, chip away. And it's like when you do that, you're chipping away at the foundation of things that are not good for us, the crime and violence. Violence?
Violence.
Violence, yes, the crime and violence, yes. Yes. The corruption,
We're getting rid of that lisp.
yes, the corruption that is there. And so we will continue to push the what we call it, the envelope to see where we need to go as a people, as a nation. And I continue as we do. First of all, I urge that petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be offered for everyone. So that's why we pray on this program, because we believe that our past have been much righteous, urgent, fervent, righteous, and that is from just like two. There's our pastors. We must also before leaders, which is important. And then we also speak and truly before kids are all not the Pastor General President, so that we may lead tranquil and quiet lives in all godliness and dignity. So we pray for leaders, we see through them, and we say, you lead on behalf of God. You lead on behalf of God's ultimate authority. Say to remember that it's something you called. So we show them what needs to be done into believing, and my favorite verse, as everybody was Psalms 89:14, that God's throne is upon righteous justice and truth mercy before him. So we encourage us to lead in righteousness with this. But we are all saying that we pray for them and we respect that they are dedicated authority. Dedicated authority ultimately reports to the other party, which is God. We continue to do that. And then
He's making up as he
no,
goes.
and then the king has very much reputation. Junior speaks about love. And actually we've been making questions yesterday. He teaches us about the importance of love, all things that we do, all things that we do, all things that we say. Go ahead, Ned.
Oh.
Go ahead,
I think I need to fill the air.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit about what's on the agenda this morning. We promised to speak with you on establishing how to go about establishing your own community-based project activity.
CBO.
And so we're going to do that this morning. Additionally, we will have some more information on our state project. I have to share with you. Those are the two big ticket items. How to create your own
CBO.
CBO or NGO, which is non-governmental organization or community-based organization. Pretty much
talking about community.
one and the same. And then, yeah.
Yeah, right.
It is tomorrow that we're going to speak to
Floyd.
Floyd. So we'll shift into that later in the day. Um, you found the quotation
Yes,
because I
it
don't
is.
want to
Yes.
go too far and
It
have
says
to
this. Martin Luther King
recalibrate.
Jr. says, "Power without love is reckless and abusive." So you have power without love, it is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. Martin Luther King Jr. Let me repeat that. Power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. We often say, and there's a lot of songs that speak about love, but what we need to do is to balance it out. A lot of us have power and we see it all the time, true? And we see what is happening in Canada in terms of the protests. Um, you have the power, but the people are trying to speak to you as leader and saying, can you listen to us? Can you please listen to what we're saying? We're not against the vaccination, but we're against the mandates that have restricted us so much, and there seems to be no end in sight. And what happens is the Prime Minister implements the Emergency Act, which was in the 70s when somebody was killed, and his father had previously brought it into play. And love without power is sentimental and needy. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. So it needs to be balanced out in terms of how we deal with each other.
Justice at its best is
power correcting everything that stands against love.
That's justice.
Yes, yeah.
Power correcting injustice.
Right. But love is about justice. Can you imagine that?
Or justice is about love?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Yeah. Justice is about love. Loving your neighbor as yourself.
All right, we contemplate it while we take our break.
We'll be right back.
For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better servicing. For a better choice in all your electrical supplies, A, authorized 3M dealer and better brand names. B, better service including free island-wide delivery. C, all major credit and debit cards accepted. It's ABC Electrical Sales, shop number 8 Hagley Park. Plaza Kingston 10, open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. We make your electrical jobs as easy as ABC. Call 754-382-528 or fax 754-3659. ABC Electrical Sales for a better
The
choice.
station that makes you feel good.
I love the station. I think it's great.
My station.
Moving.
My station.
Moving. Moving. Keep it right here. Keep it right here.
Best FM, keep listening.
We're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during, and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management.
Live the life. Respect the music. And keep your radio locked in.
The best 100 FM.
Ready, mama. Ready. Is this the confusion you feel when trying to work your way through medical systems in Jamaica? Try a dose of Ask Dr. Mary every Thursday at 5 to 6 p.m. Let Dr. Mary help you understand your medical problems and bring you to a calmer place.
Just pay your dues, my friend. Take my medical news. Oh, doctor, come to meet my patient. Oh, doctor, come to meet my patient. Oh, doctor.
Veg Printers for all your printing needs. We specialize in calendars, flyers, brochures, and more. Call us today at 968-7506. That's 968-7506. Or visit us at 4 East Bloomsbury Road, off Hagley Park Road. Veg Printers, your best choice in printing.
It's good, it's better, but nothing beats.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. Thank you for staying with us. We're going to just kind of dive right in at this point because it's a lot of material to cover, and we want to keep you engaged. All right. So as you know, let me see which day we did this. I certainly remember very much receiving the call from our listener in that community in St. Elizabeth Trial. Yes, it was on the 15th of February. Yes, otherwise called last week Tuesday. Yes. We had gone into the book of Exodus, looking at the template for the administration of justice. And so interesting that Pastor Percival chose a quotation from Martin Luther King Jr. That speaks to the connection between the exercise of power and the administration of justice. The template we had chosen came out of Exodus chapter 18, and it really was anchored in that exchange, the interaction between Moses and his father-in-law Jethro, who gave him some advice on how to go about setting up the court system for the people in the wilderness. And we saw where absolutely the administration of justice. Now, understand that at the heart of the justice system is the need to mediate between disputing parties on every conceivable thing that could cause neighbor to rise up against neighbor, or business to have an issue with another business, or between customers and businesses. You can imagine. So the administration of justice is not just about the state against a criminal offender and wanting to ensure that persons are taken out of society to prevent further damage. It's also about resolving everyday issues that arise between citizens. And then on the other side, there is the business of administering the distribution of state resources so that citizens feel that they have equal access, receive fair treatment, and are experiencing the respect and the care and commitment. Pastor spoke about love being the tempering influence on the exercise of power. So administration of justice touches cut across everything. We moved from that into looking at basics of recapturing your community. Now, why do we say recapture? Communities emerge out of man's very human and social desire to be connected to one another in their daily living.
Which is God given.
And that, as Pastor is whispering to me, is
God
God-given.
Yes, we are created as social beings.
Absolutely. And there's every expectation that we must find a way to exist in harmony. Absolutely. And being fruitful together. In fact, we can multiply by ourselves. Though many have tried. Still, yes, the Dominion mandate requires cooperation. So how do you capture your communities? At the heart of this effort is, of course, the coming together of persons around a common cause. And so we had long promised to speak with you on how you set up your community-based organization. I'm not going to begin in a legalistic way, though I'm tempted to just state some of the structures that you have to become familiar with. You can use a co-op, a cooperative. We all know what that is because we've been around them. They're one of the earliest legal structures that were proposed to allow emancipated Black people to combine around commercial interests, so to speak. But the co-op, oddly enough, though it is meant to lay the foundation for fruitfulness, it's really regarded as it's a not-for-profit. It's the, I guess, social side of partnership. You can establish a trust, meaning you put aside monies under a system of governance which allows the beneficiaries of the trust to have access to these monies. You would set up a company. Company can be limited by shares or guarantee, but that is definitely so that you can invite shareholders who will earn a dividend, or the profit of the company's activities will be distributed across its members. Or you can just have an informal, unincorporated entity which is fluid and flexible and is driven by personality, meaning you, the mover and shaker in your community, just bring your friends and company on your veranda every so often, and you make decisions together, and you have some semblance of management team that executes decisions. But such an informal organization does not have longevity, is entirely dependent on sometimes the patronage or the goodwill of the person who has brought it into existence. And when that person dies, migrates, or falls ill, the organization most times will just disappear. Naturally, it's not the recommended way to go because we are advocating generational wealth and progress and planning. So we prefer if when you establish your organization, you do so with a structure that can continue when you step away from the podium. Right, Pastor?
It's a very important thing. And interesting, as you mentioned, co-op. It is something that is already used in terms of agricultural co-op.
They would see.
You have to really move their flourishing and prospering,
yes,
transform lands that were desert into those. Like I said, that was a desert before, so it's an important thing.
Now, I'm going to say something that is very radical for me, and when you hear it, you'll know why. I typically advocate that we avoid embedding the government into our planning because I am not one who believes that in order for things to move, government has to be involved. But here is the radical statement. We are breaking the cycle of African, or what do I have to know? Let me be more direct. We are breaking the cycle of the descendants of slaves choosing deliberately to turn their back on the official system, the Babylon system, the oppressor's system, and seeking to create our own private economy, virtual economy, the hustling approach to things. We've got to break that cycle. I believe one of the reasons there is such great mistrust between citizen and government, aside from the corruption, but one of the reasons there is such great mistrust is because we are still paying homage to that great divide between slave and owner, between the oppressed and the oppressor. We are continuing to occupy the role of oppressed and victims when we are in fact in charge of our own nation, our own destiny, our own future. We have stayed in a role that was cast for us centuries ago, and which we have had every right to step out of it. So it is the whole emancipate yourself from mental slavery. But I think one of the ways that condition of victimhood persists is by our constantly regarding government either as the great father who should provide for us, or as the great person who we must avoid him.
There's a middle.
Yeah, there. I wouldn't even say middle ground, because it's not I'm not looking for a mediated resolution. I'm looking for a takeover. We must take it over because it is ours. We must take control, possess the mountain. We started off with that. Um, we are contenting ourselves with voting every 5 years, or just a single act of adult suffrage that is not nearly enough to accomplish what we're talking about. So we're starting small by first taking over our communities,
taking responsibility for the things that happen in terms of food, education,
security, health.
Yeah, those things.
The big ticket items. So that said, as I speak on these issues, you are going to hear me refer to the government, the institutions, the structures, the money that has been laid up to cover these things, which we have so far failed to do at the community level.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm making that speech. This is not going to succeed unless we take from the pool of resources what is earmarked to do this very work.
So you're talking about the government to government.
Absolutely. Because
like like EU and World Bank.
Oh yeah, you see, I'm on the page. The European Union has a poverty reduction program that has been in place for a while. The JSIF, Jamaica Social Investment Fund, manages those monies, and I would say the money is sitting there, but the communities are not stepping into the position and to take it. We talk about reparation a lot, and we tend to look at it in a very narrow way. I'm saying narrow, perhaps that is an understatement. But in my view, look at reparation through the narrow lens of tech. That's how I'm looking at it. Whereas those who have the guilty conscience know that they need to make the resources available to build these societies which have been severely depleted by the by slavery, the imperial acts of imperialism that interfered with the growth and the prosperity of continents, of nations. And so they, in their guilty conscience, have been making provisions to build these communities and these countries, and they make grant funding available through different mechanisms. But these funds are administered at the governmental level. So you cannot have access to it unless you are prepared to engage with the government on a massive scale.
But having been involved with many of these projects and so on. The greatest thing I believe that these projects under JCF had different ones that were done is the residual skill set that is left in the community. But one of the challenges has been, people come in and they say, oh, this is what needs to be done, but hardly ever, and this is one of the recommendations I keep making, if you're going to plan, you need to engage the community in a very serious way to ask them what it is that you think that you need. Because if before you even roll out the project, you get community buy-in, then it will be sustained. If that does not happen, then you put in the money and then you go back a year after and say, why is the work done? And one of the things I've observed, the same on PRP, poverty reduction, it spoke about causing the community to figure out themselves in terms of how it's disposed.
Can we do it this way? Let's go through the mission of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, then talk about the poverty, use their information to see what they're doing, and then you can provide the context.
Just the context in terms of those 16.
But I need to say what it is first.
Yeah, communities. Right? The point I was making, communities need to own and say that it is ours before you start doing anything. In the 1660s, we have a problem. We are mobilizing ourselves to solve it, and then we pull in the people.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. Okay. So the Jamaica Social Investment Fund is the primary institution with which you will work as you build out your NGO and or CBO. Pastor is making a point that you need to initiate or originate the idea before you can go to the fund.
Yeah.
That's a given. Yeah. But some of you are already sitting on ideas. And for those who have already indicated their interest in being a part of this 60 and 60, you know already what you want to do. So I'm just going to speak generally now on the resources that are available outside of what the Morning Connection will do with you. The main institution is Jamaica Social Investment Fund. Their mission is to mobilize resources and channel these to the community-based socio-economic infrastructure, and social services projects. For national partnership between central and local government, communities, private and public organizations, the Jamaican Social Investment Funds addresses the immediate demands of communities in a manner they say that is quick, efficient, effective, transparent, and non-partisan. That fund has been in operation in Jamaica for a few decades now, and I believe if you go around the island, you'll see some signage that says, that this project was funded by the JSIF. It has done infrastructure work on roads. So even that community in that was on the front page yesterday, Stock Farm Road, that community can come together, look at the infrastructure that is, struggling or that is lacking, and they can, outside of what's going on with their MP, they can initiate a project that will restore some semblance of order to their community. They don't really have to be pressing the MP. The community itself can advocate for its own renewal. In fulfilling its mandate, JSIF facilitates the empowerment of communities and assists in building national capacity to effectively implement community-based programs aimed at social development. That is directly to your point, Pastor, that when a project is well executed, the residual capacity that has been built up in the community remains as a viable community asset to push you into doing more things and more things, and to do it with a greater level of excellence. One of the I guess the funding arrangements that they have has to do with a European funded initiative, which is the poverty reduction. Let me find it. That's the one that I was looking at. Poverty reduction program. This is funded by the European Union. Let's remember who the European Union is. So, the Spanish, who once colonized Jamaica, member of the European Union, France, Belgium, all of those colonial powers that participated in the slave trade. Well, England was a part of it. They have they did Brexit, but England was a part of it. And out of the European Union, 12.54 million euros in grant funding has been provided. And that program started in November 2014. It should have ended in November 2018, but I believe that it continues today because the funds were not exhausted.
And not using away, because just intimate knowledge of some of these programs have been participated in some of them. You just have to be so careful, because some people, this is why mindsets have to change, They'll do summer camps and things. I remember sharing one of them, I says, some of it is grant, but some of it is loan funding. You know that, right? That JSIF has. So when you're making an investment, most people think it's free money. It is not free money. Most of it is not. This one, though, it is grant, but in other instances, like government has had to borrow money, other idea, and work with it. Yeah.
All right. Let's teach them first. Because the funding of your project has a structure.
Yeah.
There's a certain percentage that is loan, a certain percentage that is sweat equity, and a certain percentage that is grant funding. And we're going to go back to the business of ownership. There's nothing for free. If you're going into building something for your community, you must invest in it. There is no system under which you sit and it falls into your lap. I don't know what. So you're touching an important point. But we have to come back to it, because first we need to let the communities know that there are partners out there who have put something in place that you need to access. One of the requirements to access it is that you've got to have some skin in the game.
You always have. They ask always for community. What is the community contribution?
You must have skin in the game. Yeah. So that's like the guiding principle of this poverty reduction program is to contribute to the implementation of the Government of Jamaica's Community Renewal Program. This is one of our 2030 objectives. I mean, everybody knows that the government has signed up to some, we have a Jamaica Vision 2030 development plan. And those objectives are in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals that we've talked about on this program, which come out of the United Nations overall objective to see that the world prospers together at a particular pace. So there again, we're not alone in this, because we are keeping step with the rest of the world, seeking to keep step with the rest of the world. So our Vision 2030 requires us to reduce poverty in communities and to create what is described as the community renewal, participate in a community renewal program. And the partners in that, a funding partner is the European Union. The Community Renewal Program is designed to serve as the platform for service delivery to enhance social transformation, strengthen governance, and reduce crime and violence in volatile and vulnerable communities. So those of you who are looking at your communities under siege by gunmen and other, unpleasant actors, there are programs which can help you to build out a renewal process for your community. The renewal program's components focus on social transformation, safety and justice, socioeconomic development, and youth development. Local communities are responsible for project implementation in partnership with non-state actors and with technical support from relevant national agencies, all in line with some international commitments and agreements that Jamaica is party to. So, you looking at your community, seeing the condition of it, you are not left at the mercy of your councillor or your member of parliament. There are things and resources available to you to take charge of your community and make that transformation. I think on your own, but led by members of the community.
And that is an important point. As you say that in terms of persons taking responsibility for their communities, using the resources that are there, but they do it in collaboration with the leaders in the community, because leadership is important. And try to say that in recent times, we just have to guard against it, that the priorities are not driven by what community needs are in some of these. It is what the MP is saying at this point in time. And that leads it. That is why I'm advocating for a shift in terms of mindset and how we get things done. Because I've seen it, if it's the MP say, all right, the MP say it, but after that project finished, the people don't take ownership of it. They have this investment in this community center. If the people don't feel it is theirs, they're not going to protect it, watch over it, and so on. So that initial component, you spoke about renewal, that is about renewal. You have to renew people's mind and people's mindsets and habits and so on in regards to whatever project they come up with, it is sustainable. So that they will say to you, if you talk to people at Joseph and so on, that is one of the challenges that they have.
So let's you've had some experience in the field. I've had less than you, but what are the kinds of projects that would fall under the poverty reduction or community renewal umbrella? Just to stimulate the thought process for those who are thinking, I know community look away, but what can I do?
They have invested in terms of rehabilitation of social spaces, in terms of play areas. They have invested in terms of...
So Miss Elaine, who want a park for the children to play, if you identify an area, even if it is not yet, you can move. Even if the community don't own it or government don't own it or whatever, it's a private sector, or somebody who have an old house on land that can be torn down, you can start, and your objective can be to build out a recreation area and you can find partnership with that. I just got was it a break signal or a stretch? Dayon. It's both. All right, we got to take a break at this point. But while we are on our break, please apply your imagination to what it is that can be done in your community. So for poverty reduction, because we would help you to initiate a project in that area.
We'll be right back.
Crises such as the COVID-19 pandemic usually cause many persons to panic. But entrepreneurs view these times as a blessing for the numerous business opportunities that can arise. That's where we turn our attention today. As Corporate Communications Manager at the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, JBDC, Suzette Campbell gives us the 411 on the latest business trends in Jamaica.
There are industries that boomed since COVID-19, such as logistics and distribution. People were stuck at home and needed to get their purchases delivered to them, and that industry skyrocketed. Industries such as health grew since COVID-19 and so on. Outsourcing, financing, renewable energy. And